if it's okay, Monce, do you have some questions that you want to put before the group or with me?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like, I have shared a few questions on mail. I can take them up verbatim right now. Paul, I mean, like, it's incredible. First of all, I mean, like, just being on the Hangout with you. Uh, I remember, having a short discussion where you shared that you've helped 20 million individuals come out of poverty over the years, and you're now aiming at helping 500 million, people come out of poverty in the next 5 years via your various enterprises. Now, looking at the kind of change which has come in from 1983 when you started, and obviously all the incredible things you have done, and the kind of impact that you've had. What are the lessons in scaling up? Again, I'm looking for generic points, which a lot of social entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of social entrepreneurs, along with other entrepreneurs, and what are the lessons in scaling up from your previous ventures and your journey, which you're going to carry forward to implement your vision of helping 500 million people in the coming 5 years. It would be great to have your insights on this. Yeah,
Great,
thank you.
thank you. And I see now some comments that you sent out recently, some questions. Well, for me, it all begins with learning from your customers. Any good company does that, but it's especially important when dealing with customers who live on $2 a day or less. And I've tried to describe in several places that you start by, one, going to where the action is, two, talking to the people who have the problem and listening to what they have to say, and three, learning everything there is to know about the context of the problem. So whenever you're addressing a problem, unless you start learning from the people who have the problem first, you're unlikely to be able to reach scale, because the problem is defined differently when you actually listen to the people who have the problem than when you try to guess what the problem is. And so many failures in development are based on people who are not necessarily familiar with the culture where the problem is, and they're applying solutions that worked in their country but may not be relevant to either the definition of the problem or the solution in the place where it exists. So that, for example, in the duckweed context, you really need to learn about what people's cultural patterns are with regard to dealing with human waste and animal waste before you can design a good strategy to make use of that waste to grow duckweed. And some people are quite happy to work with human waste and others are not. That's an example. So that's the first step. The second step is that if you're working in a way that uses that sees poor people as customers instead of as recipients of charity, you better become familiar with how to design with what I call the ruthless pursuit of affordability. The products that you make or sell have to be within the affordability range of people who live on $2 a day. So once again, if you are selling duckweed as a feed, you have to be able to sell it at a price that the people who buy it can make money on in feeding it to their animals. So affordability is a critical step. If you want to achieve scale, you cannot tack scale onto an initiative that doesn't consider scale. You have to design for scale from the very beginning. So every project that I do, I won't touch a project unless the problem is large enough and the market potential is big enough that it would be feasible, if successful, to reach 100 million people. That means basically I select problems that have 1 billion people. Problems like there's more than 1 billion people who don't have access to safe drinking water. There's more than 1 billion people who don't have access to electricity in the world. If I reach 100 million, that would be 10% market penetration. So you select a problem that is not just unique to one village, but that is shared by thousands of villages to begin with. And then you create a strategy that goes systematically from a pilot test with a few customers to implementation in a cluster of villages, to implementation in 1,000 villages, to implementation in hundreds of thousands of villages. So, we're getting a little bit of feedback, but we're solving the problem in a hurry. You need to design for scale. And the other thing is you need to apply all of the principles that are well known to any successful business. You have to understand how to brand things in a way that people are proud of using the product, and how to cross the last 500 feet. That is one of the problems we have with safe drinking water, is that people in India who lack access to safe drinking water are people who live in small villages. And so how do you deliver safe drinking water to people in small villages? There are many strategies. In our case, we partner with local mom and pop shops, and they in turn hire rickshaws to deliver water in 10-liter jerry cans to people's homes at a cost of 8 cents for a 10-liter jerry can. So you have to come up with a specific strategy to solve the last mile distribution problem, and you can implement the last mile distribution in a way that is profitable, not requiring continued charitable donations to be realized. Those are some of the principles. What's your reaction to those thoughts?
When thinking of, again, going beyond sectors, what's the kind of timeline, so supposedly, now I know that, you're working on the solar pump, which is really going to help people, and, it's going to bring down the cost of the traditional or conventional pump being currently used to 1/10 of the cost. So if you were to, again, look at, really scaling this up across, India and, wherever it's needed, if you can just take us through one case study, I mean, it would be really incredible, because, we have a lot of projects coming up in renewable energy. We have projects coming up in water, and it would be really incredible to, if you have time. Otherwise, I'm happy to.
Well, I can do a quick summary.
Sure,
A good example is the project in India, is the company in India. It's called Spring Health. We're selling safe drinking water then to people in eastern India to start with, who are getting sick because they're drinking water that's fecally contaminated. About 85% of the people in rural villages in India do not use latrines, and as a result, when they poop in the fields, especially in the rainy season, that gets washed into their shallow wells. The specific question you asked is, what's the timeline? We, if we're successful, plan to reach 100 million $2-a-day customers who are drinking safe drinking water at an affordable price over a 10-year period. But you do that in steps. So right now, we start with a radically affordable water purification technology. In our case, we're using something that's been around for 100 years. It generates chlorine by running electricity through a 5% solution of salt water. You can get salt anywhere in the world. You can either plug the electrochlorinator into a wall socket, or you can use a 5-watt solar panel. Once we that technology produces 80,000 liters of purified water per day. The technology costs $250 and an operating cost of less than 50 cents. So the way we're doing this is we're producing water purifying liquid. We're hiring local business associates with motorcycles to carry 3/4 liter to each Kirana shop. When we partner with a Kirana shop, we build a 3,000-liter tank next to the shop, which the shopkeeper fills with contaminated water from his own shallow well. The business associate adds 3/4 liter of water purifier and tests the water in the tank for purity, and the shopkeeper sells it. So the way to reach scale, though, is the big challenge is how to reach sales of 1,000 liters a day for each partner shop within a month. So we've had to design a whole variety of marketing blitz techniques, from door-to-door sales. We've hired a professional village theater group that does 4 performances a day. We do water testing of the actual water because people are very motivated when they see things growing in the water that they're drinking. So we do the marketing, and what we do is define every step that we need to take to implement a block of 50 villages at a time. So we're now rolling out, we're in 140 villages. We're rolling out 25 new villages a month with about 30,000 new customers a month. As soon as we close the next round of financing, we plan to go to 50 villages a month. And then we'll do multiples of 50 villages. So we'll do that in Orissa in the first year. In the second, so we'll be doing at the end of the year 75 villages a month in Orissa. The next year we'll start in Bihar, and we'll do the same process in Bihar. The year after that we'll go to West Bengal and do the same process. And in the third year we plan to be implementing 200 villages every month. Does that give you a sketch of, but you have to design at that level of scale from the very beginning. You don't reach that level of scale. Well, the first thing we did is a beta test for 18 months in 25 villages, where we learned a lot about how to market and all of the details. And then from that, we designed our current plan. And the operations plan for a block of 50 villages is about the size of what a commercial airline pilot would take into his cockpit. It's very detailed, and we have to include how to recruit and train staff from those villages which do the work. Perhaps that's going on into too much detail, but it may be useful as an example.
Yes, absolutely, Paul. I mean, like, I was just curious. Are you looking at something in Madhya Pradesh? I can probably, after the call, I would, like to share about an initiative, and we're doing something in Madhya Pradesh. It's incredible to discuss this.
Sure.
So I'll just, let others take it forward from here. And thank
Thanks
you so
very
much.
much, Monce. We need to move forward.